Many are aware of the legends of the pre-flood occult world, such as Atlantis, Lemuria, and others. Even the Freemasons credit Cain and Tubal-Cain as the origin of the occult before the flood, but their lineage, at least human, did not cross over the flood. Cain was wiped out. Again, a family committed to evil, but they chose to be evil. Cain was human, 100%. Go back and watch those videos for evidence. This is wrapped up in Nephilim lore. The teachings of the Watcher, fallen angels, are even documented in the Book of Enoch, in fact, which we will cover someday. Yet somehow, after the flood, we see the return of this occult theology. Where did it come from? How did it get reconstituted? You are going to love this. For this guy, the one responsible, is oddly deleted from the modern Genesis lineage of Shem, yet appears in Luke, the Septuagint, and in Jubilees, but somehow omitted in modern Genesis. Not ancient, because it's there. Now how is that? In this video, you are going to uncover answers that finally explain what happened and how. Get ready for another Answers in Jubilees. Open your book of Jubilees to chapter 8, beginning in verse 1. If you haven't read this yet, this is going to blow you away. Man, so many answers that have been right there all along, all these thousands of years, censored and covered over. Well, no more. Now, this one is used to attempt to beat on Jubilees, in fact, and we're going to deal with that, which, as usual, requires an illiterate mindset ignoring the Gospel of Luke. Yes, we love that word illiterate, and we apply it meaning one who cannot read and comprehend. That, to us, is illiterate. It's our word, and we'll continue to use it. Anyone wishing to ban Jubilees over, well, what Luke also says, well, they'll have to ban Luke too. There's some that probably do want to do that, but that would be ludicrous. And we will prove ancient Genesis, would also have to be banned. Wait till we get there. Now, in the 29th Jubilee, verse 1, in the first week, in the beginning thereof, Arphaxad took to himself a wife. This is the son of Shem, and her name was Rasuya. There's no J, it's actually Y, but anyway. The daughter of Susan, the daughter of Elam, and she bare him a son in the 3rd year in this week, and he called his name Knam. Now, it's not Canaan, although it is interpreted Canaan sometimes in some texts, which is fine. It's no matter, because understand, this guy, just as the evil Canaan from Ham, whom we've covered, both bear the name of their ancestor from Adam's early lineage. That's the origin of this name. This guy is not named for the son of Cush from Ham, Canaan. No. They are both named after the same ancient patriarch, and that is not uncommon. Verse 2. And the son grew, and his father taught him writing. See, Noah's sons were literate and wrote, as did Noah. And he went to seek for himself a place where he might seize for himself a city. Now, some say, well, that means that there was a city already existing. No, it just means this is where he was going to establish a city. That's all it really means. And he found a writing which former generations had carved on the rock. Well, wait a minute. This is the grandson of Shem. Who are the former generations? And who carves their theology on a rock? Well, that's the Nephilim, the Watchers, not the Bible practice. Yes, Yahuwah carved the 10 Commandments and part of the law into stone. Of course, that hasn't happened yet at this point. But Noah then wrote it on parchment, or similar material, which is copied over throughout the generations, just as Enoch did, by the way. Yeah, the rock carving survives longer, no doubt about that. But anyone saying that is a preferred method or medium, well, just show us your rock library. Oh, you don't have one? No, you don't, do you? The paper method is really far better long term. And he read what was thereon, and he transcribed it, so he copied it over, and sinned owing to it. Oh, wait. So this is evil. If he sinned by owing to it or accepting it and applying it, well, that would make it evil, right? Exactly. For it contained the teaching of the watchers, in accordance with which they used to observe the omens of the sun and the moon and stars in all the signs of heaven. Wait a minute, what doctrine is this? Even according to Enoch, the watchers taught what? Astrology. Now I know, but Yahuwah set the sun, moon, and stars as signs, right? Right, exactly. He absolutely did. There's no doubting that. We aren't saying that didn't happen. It happened, yes, absolutely. However, his signs are not named after watcher fallen angels and their evil offspring. Have you looked at astrology? Have you noticed the names? Come on. We cover this in Solomon's Gold Series Part 13 if you'd like to know more on that. You will not actually find constellations or astrology in the Hebrew and Greek text. It's not there. Those are inserted in translation in English especially only. Using astrology to attempt to interpret prophecy is the practice of the watchers, not the Bible. And again, it's not actually even there when you look at the Hebrew and Greek. We've done that. Go watch that. Check it out. And he wrote it down and said nothing regarding it. It was definitely evil. For he was afraid to speak to Noah about it, lest he should be angry with him on account of it. Well, why would Noah be angry? Because Noah was righteous, and this was evil doctrine first. Second, Noah lived through the days before the flood, where the watcher doctrine was prevalent. Do you think he embraced the astrology doctrine of the watchers? No way. So what do we have here? This, along with Nephilim, who also crossed over the flood, though very few, maybe even only one family of Nephilim perhaps. Yes, Genesis 6:4 is very clear. Nephilim survived the flood, as they were there in the days of the flood and also after those days of the flood. This is where you find the sons of Anak, the Rephaim, or Anunnaki, the Rephaim, the giants in the land in which Israel reported they were as grasshoppers in their sight. These are all Nephilim. The giants of Amos, as tall as cedars. Og of Bashan, a giant in description, even were given his actual measurements. Goliath and his brothers also were told his size. These are Nephilim. Anyone saying Nephilim did not cross over the flood is really just ignoring Scripture because it's so prevalent. To claim angels slept with human women again after the flood, after the watchers were locked away, has no precedence in Scripture whatsoever either. So something that drastic would be there, as well as their judgment for those angels. That includes Satan, who was not judged with the watchers because he does not have physical children. Again, watch the serpent seed videos on that, as well as the mystery of Cain, both within this series. Verse 5, and in the 13th Jubilee, in the second week, in the first year thereof, he, that's Knam, that's where we are, took to himself a wife, and her name was Milcah, the daughter of Madai. Now who's he? He's the son of Japheth. What? Oh, whoa, I'm going to deal with that. And in the fourth year he begot a son, and called his name Selah. For he said, Truly, I have been sent. So, Arphaxad had a son named Knam, who was the origin of the occult after the flood for mankind. For this will be carried over into Babel. This is how that whole thing really started, right there with Knam. So, this guy is the origin, basically, of the sorcerer Chaldeans, the evil Chaldeans. Not all Chaldeans were sorcerers. Remember, even Josephus says our Arphaxad or Arphaxadites in lineage are Chaldeans. They're the same. That includes Joktan, father of Ophir, who were not magicians in any account, and Peleg. Now, his lineage would become Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Israel. So, obviously, they're not sorcerers. So, yeah, there was a bad guy in the line. Is that a big deal? No. Is it a surprise? It shouldn't be to anyone. But, oh, wait a minute. If one is, well, an illiterate communist channel, yeah, we're going to bring this up just quickly, who claims all of Japheth's seed is evil and the serpent seed an illiterate Pharisee doctrine we have proven, well, this is the very lineage of Messiah in Luke we will cover. And there you have it. The mother of Selah is from Japheth, from Madai. Can a channel be more illiterate and outright stupid than to call Messiah the serpent seed? You know, the funny thing is they don't even realize that they do it because they don't know the ramifications. They don't think through the ramifications of their propaganda, especially against us. Now, they attack us every hour, so if it bothers you that we brought that up, well, grow up and get over it, because we will do that whenever we feel like it. And we'll continue to expose their nonsense. Now, let's follow this through, though, for a minute. Verse 6. And in the 4th year he was born, and Selah grew up and took to himself a wife, and her name was Muach, the daughter of Kesed, from his father's brother, in the 130th Jubilee, in the 5th week, in the 1st year thereof. Verse 7. And she bare him a son in the 5th year thereof, and he called his name Eber. That's where we get the word Hebrew. Even Josephus, by the way, admits that the word Eber is from where the word Hebrew comes. Because the word Hebrew in Hebrew is basically Ebers, if you translate it into English. It's the plural of Eber. Not real hard. And he took unto himself a wife, and her name was Azurad, the daughter of Nebrod, in the 32nd Jubilee in the 7th week, in the 3rd year thereof. See how specific Jubilees is? And in the 6th year thereof, she bare him a son, and he called his name Peleg. There you go. Now that's the origin of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the Hebrews. That's the lineage, but of course there's another son, Joktan, from Eber as well, and they're Hebrews too. They're not Israelite Hebrews from Jacob, but they are Hebrews nonetheless. For in the days when he was born, the children of Noah began to divide the earth amongst themselves. For this reason, he called his name Peleg, which means it was divided. Same name is actually Pulag in pronunciation in Hebrew, and that's a mountain in the Philippines that somehow got that name. Now, we have actually had some claim that Peleg means divided because, well, that's when Pangea occurred. Not only is that unscientific, because little life would survive such massive shift in such short period of time. There's no way. Pangea requires millions of years, and it didn't happen according to Scripture. It's just not there. But the division here is what we already covered and mapped, 2 through 4 basically. In the last few videos too, we went back and did some more. It's Noah's division of the earth to his 3 sons. That's the division. And no, Peleg was not divisive. Some have attempted that too, causing chaos either. No, doesn't work. But wait a minute. Knam is not in our Genesis today. Uh-oh. Is Jubilees at odds with Genesis? Well, let's see. Genesis 11, the continuation of what is called the Table of Nations, Genesis 10. It is surprising how much revelation awaits us all in what many deem as a boring list. It is not. Even the location of the land of gold Ophir is preserved in chapter 10. We covered that in Solomon's Gold series very, very well and in great detail. It is brilliant. Many do not realize that there are those calling themselves Ashkenazi Jews, in fact. Forget that word Jew, which has no application in Hebrew nor origin. Watch meaning of the word Jew for that. But Ashkenaz is the son of, well, Gomer from Japheth, not Shem. And his father inherited the Russian steppes from where they actually originate. Sure, some lived in Israel in the time of Messiah. They tried him and found the son of Yahuwah guilty and had him crucified. They were Pharisees and still from Japheth, not Shem, as Pharisees were never Hebrews. They were Samaritan replacements of the northern kingdom who attacked the temple, exiled the temple priests, and usurped the priesthood. If you read the Dead Sea Scrolls, that history is well documented there. That is modern Israel, and it ain't no regathering. Watch our Lost Tribes series and Gog of Magog for detail. No, we won't let you debate that here, because this is our channel, and it's our rules. You will respect them or you will be muted, period. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begot Arphaxad 500 years and begot sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 5 and 30 years. There's a big problem with that because 35 years is way too early. I know in our modern age, 35 years is actually getting a little late in the child rearing age. But in this age, unheard of in these lineages when you look at them. And he begot Selah. Wait, something's missing there. And Arphaxad lived after he begot Selah 403 years and begot sons and daughters. Now first, this date is inconsistent with Genesis as he's having kids far too early for their practice, and it throws off the entire timeline. But something's missing here in Genesis. I know someone just yelled at the screen, "How dare you place Jubilees above Genesis?" You will see the same chronology in First Chronicles as Genesis. Yeah, go ahead, put that in the comment. Yes, it's there. There's no doubt about that. That's what modern Genesis and Chronicles say. Yes. However, let's go over to the New Testament, not controlled by the Pharisees, first of all. And let's see what, Luke has to say about this. Because Luke disagrees with Genesis and Chronicles, and he agrees with the book of Jubilees. That's odd. Then we'll look at the most ancient Genesis we have, which, also does not match this modern version. Something's rotten in Denmark. Luke 3:34. The genealogy of Messiah from Luke is here. Was Luke wrong? We'll test this quickly. Luke records it the other way around, just so you know. Instead of begot, he uses son of. So he's going in a backwards direction, but it's the same. Let's see. Again, the lineage of Messiah here, which was the son of Jacob, which was the son of Isaac, which was the son of Abraham, which was the son of Terah, which was the son of Nahor, which was the son of Serug, which was the son of Ru, which was the son of Phalec, which is Peleg in Hebrew, which was the son of Eber, which was the son of Selah, which was the son of, Selah was the son of Knam. Oops, did Luke mess up? No. We'll see. Which was the son of Arphaxad. So there you have the progression. Arphaxad to Canaan to Selah. which was the son of Shem, which was the son of Noah, which was the son of Lamech. So again, if one claims that all of Japheth is the serpent seed, for instance, which is illiterate, they just called Messiah the serpent seed, because Canaan, or Knam, really, married a Japhethite white girl. Again, that's just ridiculously stupid. So the real question is Luke right, or is Genesis? Forget about Jubilees. We got an issue with the Bible here, right? Not really. We'll show you. Also, again, First Chronicles carries over the same chronology as Genesis, so it agrees with Genesis. So, how could Luke then make such a huge error? He didn't. I'll show you. Let's look at the most ancient version of this passage in Genesis 11, and then we'll take a look at chapter 10 too. Arphaxad lived 135 years, according to the Brenton Septuagint, which is the oldest text we have of Genesis, at least of 11 and of 10. We have both. Now, this is consistent with the other patriarchs. Not 35 years he has a son, no. And that throws a wrench in chronology of the modern Pharisees, which are famous for messing that up. And he begot, wait a minute, this is Genesis, folks. And Genesis used to say, Arphaxad begot Knam when he was 135, not 35, and again, Knam. Knam then lived 130 years and begot Selah. Again, consistent, 130 years. So Arphaxad, Knam, or Canaan in some instances, again, it's the same ancient name that they're named after. And then Selah. That's the order from the ancient Genesis. The modern Genesis has been changed, because this is consistent with Jubilees, and it's consistent with Luke. Knam has been removed from the Bible. Why? We'll go there too. Some need to see the original Greek, and here it is, rendered by Blue Letter Bible. You can go look it up for yourself, blueletterbible.org. There's Knam. That's the name in Greek, 4 times in verse 13 and 14, consistent with what we just showed you in English. Let's go to Genesis 10 and take a look at that. In the Brenton Septuagint from the BC era, even Genesis 10 used to render Arphaxad begot Knam, who begot Selah. In the modern Genesis, Knam has been removed. Once again, here it is in the Greek 3 times. Knam is there originally. It is not there today. Is this a problem for Jubilees? No. This is a problem for Genesis, which has been changed. Again, you do have the modern First Chronicles, which has also likely been changed. But unfortunately, that text is missing from the Brenton Septuagint, which is, well, rather fishy, but it could be. However, when did this change? That is exactly what we want to get to, because that's actually on record. For Luke wrote before 84 AD, in the 1st century. Now we can find this deletion in Pharisee Bibles already within 10 years of that date. Wow. Flavius Josephus was an admitted Pharisee, Hasmonean, and he was Essene trained by Banus the Essene in Ein Gedi. He is the first record we find of this change to Genesis around 90 AD. Not far from when Luke wrote his book, but after. Now he wrote, Selah was the son of Arphaxad, and his son was Eber. So again, he omits, he deletes, he leaves out Knam completely. Boy, no wonder they need this book of Jubilees to be banned. They cannot have people knowing they changed the Bible. but they did many ways. That is not the only way. Taking out the name of YHWH, Yahuwah, 6,800 plus times, and replacing it with the Hebrew word Baal? Are you kidding me? And we fall for that? And scholars are protesting that every day? While Bibles are still coming out? What is going on that we are living in this society as that stands? As a normal practice. That's not normal. That is not just abnormal, it is satanic. To take out the name of Yahuwah from Bibles. Who would remove the name of the Creator, which was pronounced by Abraham, and we cover that in the Name of God series. Check it out. But see, Yahuwah knows, and their penalty will be severe. Let's look at a timeline of when this occurred, and you will see. The Septuagint originally dates back to the 3rd century or so BC. At that point, Genesis 10 and 11 both rendered Arphaxad begot Knam, who begot Selah. In the Book of Jubilees, not even remotely accurately dated in origin to the 2nd century BC, as it was written by Moses beginning on Mount Sinai at least 1700 years before. Read the introduction of our book, we prove that out. It is the most ancient of these records, though the Genesis at that time, of course, still retained Knam as well. However, we have copies of Jubilees dated to the 2nd century BC firmly, and that's why we're using that date this way. And it still said, Arphaxad begot Knam, who begot Selah. Then in the New Testament, still the Bible, last we checked, and Jubilees is recorded, and Vets is Torah, by the way. Luke says, Arphaxad begot Knam, who begot Selah. How about that? That is the biblical order from ancient times. No one had the right to change it, and they did. We first see this in Josephus within 10 years or so of Luke, and he changed it, deleting Knam. We find 100 years later, Irenaeus, and 100 years after that, Eusebius. Really early Catholic fathers. Fathers of what? Not fathers of the early ecclesia. That is a lie. Their fathers, Catholic fathers. Fathers of Pharisee doctrine. They're really Pharisees in doctrine, and this proves that because they're following Josephus, not the Bible. Of course, we then have the Masoretic text, which deletes Knam as that continued practice in 900 or so AD, again in 1000 with the Leningrad Codex, 1560, 1611, King James, and Geneva Bibles, and the 1899 Jesuit Dewey Rheims Bible. It disappeared, yet it was there. It was there in ancient Genesis. It was there in Jubilees, and still is, and it was there in Luke, and remains as well. The precedent is pretty solid. The occult returned after the flood when Knam found the rock carving of the doctrine of the Watchers, astrology, which is called evil in this text multiple times because, while it is evil, even the book of Enoch says it's the evil doctrine of the Watcher fallen angels. Jubilees is consistent with ancient Genesis and with Luke. That's in the Bible. Anyone wishing to throw out Jubilees over this, well, they then have to throw out Luke, and really ancient Genesis as well, and that would be ludicrous, of course. This also means the Pharisee dating of the age of the earth is wrong as usual. Why hide this guy, though, Knam? What they are hiding is the reconstitution of the occult, and he was from Shem, in the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as well as Messiah. Does that really matter? Well, some within the lineage may not have been holy. Is that a surprise? Not at all, for no one can change the holiness of Messiah. No one can change the righteousness of Abraham. It doesn't matter if their great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, whoever, happened to be an evil guy. In fact, Just look at Abraham's father. He was not a good man either. Everyone knows Abraham's father worshipped idols. That's not new. It's well recorded. Now, it didn't make Abraham evil, did it? Of course not. And since Knam married a Japhethite white girl, communist, that means that doctrine of the serpent seed reaches even further than this part European Native American Indian, mind you, as they're calling Messiah and Abraham the serpent seed. As they claim all of Japheth, everyone is the serpent seed. It's just plain stupid. And once again, a very profound answer in Jubilees, which even restores ancient Genesis. Now, that is incredible. We hope you have learned from yet another Answers in Jubilees. We will end this video with an introduction of our latest book, 2nd Esdras, the Hidden Book of Prophecy, with a series coming soon. And then Jubilees. These are free in eBook or available in print as well. Get your copy today. Yah bless to everyone. The Book of Jubilees, the Torah calendar, named by the temple priests in Qumran as the source of the exact determination of how to keep Torah's calendar in the Damascus document. Yes, they called it Torah and used it as such. This book renders the very first map of the world, the most ancient geography in all of history. Jubilees, also known as the Book of Division, as Noah partitions the entire earth to his 3 sons, finds the Garden of Eden in the Philippines, pinpoints the seat of Gog, of Magog's power, demonstrates continental divides originate with Noah, and much more. It is the second witness to Genesis and Torah and concurs. It tests as Torah, and we encourage you to review this full test for yourself in the beginning of this book. It was the priests who were exiled from the temple who lived in Qumran, known in Bible times as Bethabara, where Messiah was baptized and John the Baptist, of temple priestly caste, lived and operated. As these were his fellow Levite priests exiled from the temple, who continued to keep Scripture there, as well as operate a functioning compound modeled in part after the temple. This is the only historic library of precedents for the Old Testament canon in ancient history, yet explained away in willing ignorance, just as 2 Peter 3 warned. Based on the R.H. Charles translation from the Ethiopic, this book will enlighten, and its revelation will rock your world. As all 50 chapters appear in this book with curated and edited margin notes, in large print Bible format, easy to read. This 288-page quality paperback has a high-resolution section of maps that represent the world's oldest map by Noah. Read it and test it for yourself, and you will likely find, as we have, this book is inspired and even canon in history. Available free worldwide in eBook, or purchase a print copy today on Shopee Philippines or Amazon internationally. Just go to bookofjubilees.org, and the links are there for your area. We also offer bundle pricing with our other books in the Philippines. Our books are already expanding now, being read in 52 countries and more than half of the provinces in the Philippines. Join thousands who are finding this useful in their lives.